They are sulcus on the superolateral surface that cuts the superior border and then appears on the medial surface. So it is definitely this particular sulcus. Okay. Now anterior to the central sulcus, this entire lobe is our frontal lobe. On the frontal lobe, the first thing that we find is one more sulcus which is present like this. So which one is the sulcus? Yes sir, we are talking about this particular sulcus. Okay. What is this sulcus called as?
Central sulcus.
This is called as the precentral sulcus. So here is our central sulcus and here is our precentral sulcus. So between this central sulcus and the precentral sulcus, this particular gyrus is called as the precentral gyrus. This is the primary motor area 4. This is Broadsman classification, area 4. Function is motor control. So hence this is called as the primary motor area 4. Now this is our precentral sulcus. Anterior to the precentral sulcus there is a gyrus.
Yes sir.
And still anterior to it, there are the two
Sulcus.
frontal sulcus.
Yes sir.
So these are like horizontal sulcus.
Yeah.
They are actually dividing the rest of the frontal lobe into
Three
a
gyrus.
superior frontal gyrus,
Middle frontal gyrus.
middle frontal,
Inferior
and an inferior
gyrus.
frontal gyrus. So this is inferior frontal gyrus, this is
Middle frontal and this is frontal
superior.
frontal gyrus.
So, and posteriorly is the precentral sulcus, anteriorly is your frontal sulci. So this particular gyrus that is present, this is called as
Premotor.
the premotor area 6.
6.
Okay, this is the premotor area
6.
Now this is our middle frontal gyrus.
Gyrus.
This is the posterior aspect of the middle frontal gyrus. This particular area is called as
Area 8.
or the frontal, the field for the frontal gaze. This is the frontal area for the gaze. Mane, yes sir, this is the area that is responsible for controlling the extraocular muscles of the same side or the opposite side.
Opposite side.
Sir, of the
Contralateral
opposite
side.
side. So this is basically responsible for controlling the motor activity of the extraocular muscles of the
Opposite side.
Similarly, what is the function of the premotor area? Premotor area is the one that is controlling the extrapyramidal fibers. That means it controls the red nucleus, it controls the vestibular nucleus, it controls the different pontine nucleus. Okay, so it basically sends what type of fibers? Corticorubral. Today in the morning we talk about corticorubral, corticospinal. Corticospinal and corticonuclear will arise from here.
Okay.
Understand? Corticonuclear and corticospinal will arise from primary motor area 4. What is the function of this? This sends corticorubral, corticopontine, corticovestibular like fibers. So basically it forms the pathway for the extrapyramidal fibers. It sends fibers to the extrapyramidal nuclei. Okay, so this basically forms your extrapyramidal fibers. These are the so what is the function of this area? This area basically is primarily responsible for downtoning or controlling the finer movements of the body. It number one, it initiates a movement. So when you are starting to move, that first step that I will have to get up and I will have to put my foot in front, this particular orientation is actually done by this area. That is the premotor area. After that, the movement of those portions, right? That the gross motor movement of the muscles, that means contraction of the flexors, extensors like this, so that is done by your primary motor area 4. Clear? So what is the function of this area? That is the area for frontal gaze. So this is the portion which actually helps you to move the two eyes simultaneously on the same side.
Yes.
Supposedly I have to look towards the right. What happens is the right eye goes for abduction, the left eye goes for adduction. So these are actually controlled by, two separate nerves. The right eye abduction is controlled by, it is going laterally. So this is lateral rectus, so this is done by abducens nerve. Whereas for the left eye, it is done by the oculomotor nerve. So two nerves. That means my abducent and the oculomotor are getting supplied at the same time. So they are being controlled by one single area. So that is by this particular area of frontal gaze.
8.
Okay, now there is a portion which is in front of it, this anterior most part. This is called as the prefrontal area. This is the portion which is also referred to as the prefrontal
Frontal
area.
area.
The primary function of this prefrontal area is that it controls our social behavior. Like our social behavior tells us not to speak in a public place. Right? It tells us not to pee in a public place. But when a person has an injury at this particular prefrontal area, what will the person have? The person will not be able to understand, or the person will lose all these social behavioral patterns. So this is the area which will actually stop you from spitting in a public place. Clear? So that is the function of the
Prefrontal area.
Now, as we go down, this is our inferior frontal gyrus. Below the inferior frontal gyrus, we have already found that this was our anterior limb of the lateral sulcus. This was ascending limb. So this one was called as
Area triangularis.
this is the pars triangularis. This is the
Pars opercularis.
These two areas, this is 44.
4.
This is area
45.
45. These two comprise as the motor speech area of Broca. That means what? This is the area that actually controls the muscles of the larynx, the muscles of the tongue.
Tongue.
What is the final outcome? Final outcome is speech. Hence, this is called as the motor speech area of Broca, comprising of area 45, 44 and 45. That means triangularis is 45,
And opercularis is 44.